Now, from next month, businesses with more than 100 employees will be forced to report their so-called gender pay gap. And you might think that's noble. Everyone should be paid the same to do the same job, and so they should, and they are. It's the law. It's illegal to pay someone less purely on the basis of their sex. It's discrimination. This is how 7 Sunrise explained the gender pay gap nevertheless yesterday.
The Albanese government is looking to deliver on its election commitment to help close the gender pay gap in Australia. Latest data shows the average weekly gap for ordinary full-time earnings is around 13%. While it is the lowest level ever, the annual difference over the course of a year balloons out to more than $26,000 or 21.7%.
Apologies for the strange music they played under that supposedly dire news. I mean, you'd think, heck, this is bad. Women are paid 13% less. Who are all these dastardly employers who take a look in your trousers and decide that you should be paid less because you don't have a you-know-what? But businesses won't be required to report whether or not they're paying people different money to do the same job because, of course, it's not happening. This quote-unquote gender pay gap they have to disclose is the difference between what all the men in the company are paid versus what all the women in the company are paid combined. Now, that's what they claim is the gender pay gap, because the gender pay gap, like-for-like employees, same job, same pay, isn't real. But this was Minister for Women, Katie Gallagher, on Sunrise.
The Albanese government is looking to deliver on its election commitment to help close the gender pay gap in Australia. Latest data shows the average weekly gap for ordinary full-time earnings is around 13%. While it is the lowest level ever, the annual difference over the course of a year balloons out to more than $26,000 or 21.7%.
I mean, we're not really about naming and shaming. I mean, the results will be public, and so in this sense, you know, how people interpret that will be over to them. What we're really keen on is that companies look at it, see what it is, and then take steps to reduce it and make sure that women are getting treated equally and fairly in the workplace.
Sorry we put you through that god-awful music again, bug in the system. Now, she mentions this business about women being treated equally and fairly. Now, maybe there are a handful of companies and employers that are chauvinistic and misogynistic, but on the whole, I don't think that's true. Most employers are concerned with who is best for the task and who can make the company the most money. If that's a man, great. If it's a woman, great. The chair of this television network is a woman. A significant portion of our primetime hosts are women. I write columns for 2 News Corp publications, and the editors of both are women. I don't think there's any great problem with women in the workplace or them being able to seek career progression if they want it in this day and age. But Gallagher repeated this same line at a doorstop.
And we want to see that reduced, and we want equality in terms of pay in the workplace. And this change will give us, I think, a significant boost into seeing that happen.
Equality in terms of pay in the workplace. Now, she clearly doesn't mean paying men and women the same money for the same job. We already know that's the law. She wants all the women in the company to be paid the same total as all the men in the company. But that's never going to happen. Whether you like it or not, and it's strangely controversial to say this these days, men and women are different. They naturally have different interests, are drawn to different fields. They have different priorities in life. And women have children, not birthing parents or whatever they're calling it at the moment, women. Now, women generally take time off work to have children, and they generally spend more time off work post-childbirth. Spending more time away from work to be with your kid will naturally affect your employment status. The time you take off might be the time one of your colleagues shines and puts him or herself in line for a promotion. These are the simple realities of life. I mean, if I took 4 months off work, I expect my situation might be different when I return too. Now, the federal government provides 20 weeks of paid parental leave for new parents, and that's available to both parents. One can take the whole 20 weeks, or you can split it between the two of you. And despite it being available to both parents, families overwhelmingly choose for the mother to take the leave. In the 2022-23 financial year, more than 170,200 women took government-funded paid parental leave. Only 1,020 men did the same. Women taking any kind of government-funded parenting leave outnumber men almost 2 to 1. Many employers also offer their own generous parental leave schemes in addition to the government, which lengthens the amount of time women spend away from work. A third of those are also available to fathers according to the Workplace Gender Equality Agency. And yet fathers make up just 14% of those using these schemes. This is a decision being made by young families of their own volition. These are parents who've grown up in the era of equality in the workplace, who've been told that women should be at work, and they're still choosing to take a more traditional approach to parenting. And that's where we get to what this gender pay gap business is all about. In order to close this so-called gap, women would have to take less maternity leave and work as often and as long and as hard as men, whether they like it or not. It requires breaking down the traditional family structure and taking mothers away from their kids and putting them into the workforce for longer. That's what the government and the left more broadly want to achieve. They can't make tax out of mothers if they're not at work, and it helps their long march through the institutions. They can't get their hands on impressionable young minds as early if a parent is at home instead of at work. Women who want to work should have every encouragement and opportunity to do so. Anywhere there is inequality or discrimination, it must be stamped out. But mothers should feel equally comfortable to be stay-at-home mothers if they want to. If taking a year off to look after your newborn costs you some career progression, would you really trade that time in to help close the gender pay gap? The gender pay gap, as they call it, is a myth. It's simply the result of families choosing to structure their lives in a traditional way. And the numbers don't lie. They still are. No government or academic or revolutionary should be able to take that away from you.